Well, it seems many do not trust the government. Actually, as Max Slavo reports, guns and ammo production are now maxed out. This is a society preparing for war. And apparently a guns and ammo industry report has indicated that every major gun and ammunition manufacturer in the country is running at 100% capacity. Many are behind, way behind schedule, and billions of rounds of ammunition are now being created every single week in an attempt to keep up with this demand, which is probably why the DHS is trying to buy it all up. So good luck with that, DHS. And speaking of the Second Amendment, MSNBC's Chris Matthews has actually said that natural rights and the Second Amendment are racist, straight up. Apparently, the NRA's Wayne LaPierre wrote for the Daily Caller. He said, hurricanes, tornadoes, riots, terrorists, lone criminals, these are all perils we're sure to face. It's not a maybe. And it's not paranoia to buy a gun, it's survival. So apparently exercising your natural rights to protect yourself and to survive is now considered to be racist. And speaking of more mainstream drivel, apparently Al Gore showed up on the Ellen DeGeneres show so they could talk about chemtrails. DeGeneres asked Al Gore about spraying particulates in the air to block out the sun, and he kind of laughed it off and said, yeah, scientists have proposed that. That's just crazy. What we really need to save the Earth is basically his carbon tax initiative, because what he would like you to do is pay the government so that you can breathe, and then he'll get some of that money in his pocket. And somehow, making Al Gore richer, apparently, according to him, his logic, that's going to save the Earth. So, yay for that. And in other news, Merck actually published a study pushing antidepressant use with vaccines. And I actually wrote an article about this that was up on InfoWars today because I just could not believe it. A new study published in the Journal of Clinical Infectious Diseases actually claims that taking antidepressants will increase vaccine effectiveness. And 4 people from Merck were listed on this study, and the study was about Merck's shingles vaccine, so big surprise there. But I think what was even more disconcerting about this is actually where it says, the possible connection, however, is potentially significant. If antidepressants increase the efficacy of shingles vaccines in those who are depressed, such treatment may have a similar effect on the immune response of depressed patients to other important vaccines, such as those against influenza. So they're just going to spread this right out and say that if you take a vaccine, which they want everyone to take, then you get depressed, which they think everybody pretty much is, because if you have emotions, you need to be on medications. Then basically you need to take antidepressants now on top of your vaccines to make them work better. It's not a question of whether or not the vaccines work. It's just a question of you not taking enough antidepressants. And what we're actually seeing with this is basically a big pharma full spectrum dominance. And I honestly do not know where the logic comes from that says taking antidepressants makes your vaccines work. I think it's probably the same place where Al Gore's logic comes from, that if you give him money, he'll somehow save the Earth with it. And actually, speaking of antidepressants, I saw this in the Mail Online. Fish are becoming easier to catch now because traces of antidepressants are getting into the water supply and making them more relaxed. And actually, guys, if you scroll down to the second picture, I thought this was kind of interesting. The caption under there says, drugged up scientists studied the behavior of perch exposed to a sedative. So I guess the scientists were drugged up while they were doing the study, but the fish were made easier to catch. And we've seen other reports come out where shrimp have actually had suicidal tendencies off the coasts, and they swim right into fishermen nets and when they usually would swim into the dark because of antidepressants in the water. If these drugs are making these animals easier to catch, they're making them suicidal, what do you think they're doing to you and your family? That's the question I have. And actually, coming up in this broadcast, I'm going to talk to clinical psychologist Dr. Bruce Levine about that. But first, let's go to the quote of the day. The Constitution is not an instrument for the government to restrain the people. It is an instrument for the people to restrain the government. And that was Give Me Liberty or Give Me Death's Patrick Henry who said that. And we will be right back after this break.
Infowars.com is proud to introduce the new Infowars skateboards by Alien Workshop. Skaters have always been against the grain socially. Now wake up your friends politically. Just go to InfoWarsStore.com. We have Divide and Conquer or Brainwashing. Then take your deck to your local skate shop, pick out your own trucks, your own wheels, and then hit the streets and wake some people up. Here is legendary skateboarder Jake Nunn.
This one has a lot more concave than I have on my board, and I like concave. It makes it easier to turn and feel the board. Looks pretty cool. I mean, it's almost the same shape as mine. It's not really a sport, and it's not really art. It's just kind of freedom, you know? I've listened to Alex Jones for a long time, and I love what Infowars does. I've always loved Alien Workshop, too. I think it's kind of cool you guys got together. This one's pretty nice. Definitely one for the wall, one for the collection. Also good to skate.
Get these limited edition decks at InfoWarsStore.com.
This is Jake Nunn. Get these beautiful new skateboards at InfoWars.com. Alien Workshop collaboration. Good